All right. Here we are.
Episode 3.
Episode 3.
Jim, Alex, a redneck and a
Immigrant.
walk into a barn. What happens?
Well, what happens? Let's talk about what happens.
Probably nothing.
Well, hopefully we'll do something meaningful. How have you been? It's been a moment.
You know, it's been an exciting, thrilling, adventuresome week. And
For you or for me?
No, for me. Hernia repair surgery.
For you or for me?
Once again, for me.
You're very self-centered.
I know, but this one is about me since I had the surgery performed.
It's always about you, and this is the problem of our relationship.
I know. I hear that a lot. But it's been 1 week since this thing we call routine surgery.
Routine, it's a root canal or routine from
Exactly,
what? What's the root word for routine? Route?
I didn't know much about it. Apparently, hernias happen to young men. They happen to old men. They can happen to women. It's not just an older man.
You know, it's funny you should say that because all the hernias I've heard of, it's men. Yes. I don't think I've heard of a women going through. And this is not a chauvinistic or any BS like that.
No.
I don't remember in my long life hearing a woman go through a hernia surgery.
Right.
Men, dozens.
I know. I think that it's probably mostly male. It's mostly in the groin area.
Do you
Am
think
I
it's
saying that word correctly? Groin. I say groin.
Let me see it.
Well, I don't think that's going to help. But
do you think it's physiology or stupidity of lifestyle?
Yeah, lifestyle.
Lifestyle, okay.
Lifestyle. Lifting weights.
Yeah.
Lifting tractors.
Now you're sounding chauvinistic because you're assuming women don't do that.
Moving boulders. The men are doing that, and the men are getting that. But it's always been this running joke. Oh, you're going to get a You're going to get a hernia. You know, it kind of devalues the word, and you think of it as. And then, so the surgeon explained it to me this way: it's laparoscopic. Oh, I mean,
and that's
holes. Makes some little incisions, and that puts the robot arms in, and we sew you up, and
off you go.
Fini du sweet, as we say in the
where
I don't know. Yeah. So I thought, okay, I'll just get it done, get it over with.
Yep.
Apparently, hernias don't heal on their own. You have to do something.
Hernia, and this is my small brain. It's inside. We have layers of stuff.
Yeah.
One or more layers get torn, a tear, and now something from inside is pushing outside.
Exactly.
Now, I've heard, and I'm not trying to be funny, that sometimes men get a hernia that it goes into testicles.
Yeah, it goes way down.
Way down, because it finds a orifice to go. Canal, but much better word.
Yeah. Interestingly, in utero, I have no recollection of in utero.
Let me think.
When I was there, personally,
I think I remember a few. No.
I was born at a very early age, so I don't remember. But both the gonads for the male and the female in utero are in the same position up high.
Okay.
And then the males drop down the inguinal canal into the ugliest word in the English language.
Fallopian tubes?
It's hard to even say it's the ugliest word I know of.
Oh, no, I know uglier words.
Well, okay. But anyway, this canal is through with its job, but it sort of remains, and it's vulnerable. So
very vulnerable. We know that.
Yeah, here we go, vulnerable.
So back to you, the main topic of this conversation. Yes. So you're going to get some holes.
Yeah.
And they're going to shield it with some mesh or some
mesh. They like patching a tire. You put the patch on, you glue it on. This time they sew it on, and they patch up the split and the abdominal wall, and
from inside.
So
the holes go in,
and
then from inside they do some patching. They put this mesh.
Yeah.
And now you're good to go. Off you go home.
Well, they sort of minimize the whole thing. Here's some. We're just gonna do it laparoscopically.
Yep.
We sew you up. You go home the same day. That is what threw me. You go home the same day.
Yeah, it's
bad can
outpatient.
I'm not in the hospital.
Yeah.
It'll be easy. Okay. It's sort of like when the nurse said to me, "We're going to put something in your IV now, and you're going to feel sleepy."
Boop, out cold.
I'm going to be gone for the next hour, and have no recollection. But as soon as she said that, we're going to put something in your IV now. I'm like, oh, okay, that'd be, and that was the end of it. I mean, it's a powerful
that
thing.
quick. Okay.
Yeah.
Morphine.
I don't know what they use. Propofol.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have more of it?
Well, no, I don't know where you buy that. But, it's a powerful thing. So, but the whole thing was an interesting experience. It turned out the first 2 days afterwards was
painful.
Very, very painful.
So painful in the area where they had the surgery.
Yeah.
What about brain? When you come back, it's a little grogginess, etc. But then you after next day you're fully back normal.
Well, they did this thing they call a nerve block, where they shoot you full of something that deadens the area.
So it's local anesthesia plus you're full. Yeah.
When I got home, I thought, I feel pretty darn good. I was right. There's nothing to this until 4 o'clock.
When the local...
When that wore off, it began.
Really?
It began.
So pain, like stabbed pain.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bad pain, all the way down. And I'm like, no, it was miserable for 2 days after that. So do I recommend getting a hernia? No, I don't.
But if you got a hernia, would you recommend getting a surgery?
People live with them for years. They'll tie a belt on. Back in Ben Franklin wrote of having a hernia and used a piece of metal.
Just
they called it truss.
Yeah, well, chastity.
No, that's a completely different thing.
But it's also trust or distrust.
Distrust. This is based on trust, and it holds your guts, if you will, in. Very. They didn't come up with these surgeries till 100 years ago. What did you do before then?
Yeah,
you died early.
I do remember when we first came to this country, I had a little bit of a bulge. Well, maybe a little bit of a swelling in an area where I don't want to point.
Are you talking about your wedding night?
No, but we'll get to that. It's a different story completely. But at that time, it was a hernia or not. We went to a pharmacy. This is over 3 decades ago, and they were selling this rubber thingy with a like a pad that you put on, tighten it, and that pad is pushing that thing in.
Yes.
So that would be support.
So what happened?
It just went away.
It went away?
Yeah.
Well, I don't understand that because theoretically it should.
This is year 93, 94. Gone.
So I assume that if you were living in the homeland of Armenia, that they have no surgeons or hospitals. It's like a tent.
I think I've heard, I don't know firsthand, I probably should do some research, that there is this medical tourism is something that is considered in Armenia, not exclusively, but other kinds. Like I've heard in Turkey, hair transplant surgeries are like clockwork. Many people go there for that. Now you and I have been blessed. I mean, you have a beautiful wig. I have a beautiful wig. We shop at the same wig store. Yeah. But Armenia, along with some other countries, they do medical. When I say medical tourism, that's a little bit of a moniker that is not completely accurate. But like if you have a dental work to do, a very high quality dentist, you go, and for much more reasonable price. Now, what I wanted to ask you, since we spoke about your surgery, and I'm glad you're okay. I really am, because it would have been a little bit cool from an ego perspective to do this on my own.
Yeah.
But it would have been lonely
had I not survived the surgery.
Your words, not mine.
Yeah.
And I would have found a replacement in about what's the word I'm looking for? Seconds.
Yeah.
I mean,
a stand-in, a permanent stand-in.
Yeah. You remember the story of Pete Best and Richard Starkey?
Yeah,
kind of. You would be the Pete Best in the story.
Yeah, you're in and then you're out.
I think, should we explain, or I think
probably not. Yeah, Google it.
Google it. So actually, I'll get to the Beatles in a second if we get to it, because our last episode was rather long.
It was epically long.
It
was like War and Peace.
Yes.
It was. a long read.
I read War and Peace, and we had to study it in school too.
Tolstoy.
Leo Tolstoy.
Yeah,
very
the fact that
well
I
done.
know that, I know you're shocked.
You know what, Jim? As much as you and I get off on zinging each other, but there are certain qualities about you that I'm in positive awe. Not oh my God, but one of them is you how educated you are, and how eloquent you are. And this is not you're from the South, and no, just as a human being, you could have been a Yale grad. Like we have a friend who has a PhD in theology from Yale, right?
Right.
Or you could have been finished high school and that's it. But your eloquence of how you construct your thought, it always. And I'll confess to you, between our friends, when you're not there, of course we bash you, we put you in dirt. That quality of yours, everyone mentions.
Well, I appreciate that. And the thing is you don't often hear a Southern accent rewarded with terms of eloquence or articulate.
You are very eloquent and articulate.
Because you would associate that with a more posh English accent.
Yeah, I think stereotypes are there for a reason. Yeah. Let's be honest. Right. But stereotypes don't make it black and white. Mm-hmm. It's not a mathematical equation. Mm-hmm. It's like more people from, name a country, are a little bit slower in their thinking. More people from this country are a little bit more into that type of occupation. Doesn't mean everyone. No. Right? So. No. Well, anyway, it was a compliment that we kind of rained on.
I'm not used to compliments from you, but to finish you're
very handsome.
On Armenia's medical system,
yes,
such as it is. if you want veneers,
very high quality,
or hair transplant, go there. What if you need heart surgery? Where do you go?
I don't know.
You just die?
No. So of course they have the very high quality medicine, but from my knowledge of the world, if you have a really complicated procedure, let's not be specific, heart or right? I think U.S. is the best place to have. Okay. However, between us girls. U.S. healthcare system, and we're not going to go into political debates by any means, but it's not easy if you don't have certain means. And when I say means, doesn't mean rich, means health insurance deductible. Which I wanted to ask you, your surgery, which sounded as something like I just come in, couple of holes, off you go, right? And without getting into your pocket about this, but more around, was it financially involved? I know some of it you may have paid, part of deductible, some of it may have been covered by insurance, but was it talk about the finances of the procedure?
Well, let's go to the bottom line. This surgery was $60,000.
I'm sorry, did you say 60?
60, comma, 000.00. $60,000. Now, I was there, you arrive early, 5:45 a.m. Surgery starts at 7:30.
Yep.
Recovery at 9.
Yep.
Go home by noon. Half a day. $60,000.
Okay. This is where a bit of put aside political affiliations or beliefs. Put aside, it should be free for all, or no, heck no, we need to pay for it. Right? That sounds as an excessive amount.
There's
period,
no
full stop. Yeah. Like if you do line items, right? A little Excel spreadsheet, right? Anesthesia, $2,500. I'm talking out of my skirt.
More.
Scalpo, $15.
Box of Kleenex.
$25.
$45. Even, just a short stay in the hospital, they will give you an itemized list.
Right.
And if you go down, 2 Tylenol.
Yeah.
$85. Where are you buying your Tylenol?
Can I be your supplier?
You would think as a hospital you would get some sort of
discount. What are you looking for? Favorable deal.
Wholesale.
Yeah, wholesale.
You're paying. So there is no justification. Now I understand. To be fair, there's a surgeon involved.
Yeah. No.
He's a high dollar guy.
And by the way, for our audience, our friends know that you and I, we talk out of our skirts, but if people who stumbled on this one, a redneck and an immigrant walking the bar, that's pretty cool. Let's talk, they're bashing our healthcare. No, the best healthcare in the world. We're just discussing, it is.
The cost of it.
We're discussing the cost of it, and not to bash, but more just, okay, so you spend there, let's just say, total of 6 hours.
Yes,
just,
total.
That's $10,000 per hour.
That's right.
Okay? I'm just, just trying to simplify it for my little brain to comprehend. Right? So surgeon, let's say he or she got paid, let's say $10,000. I'm talking again out of my skirt. Anesthesiologist got like $5,000 to $10,000.
I think they are at the top of the food chain.
Yeah, I get that.
For some reason.
Even though, and I'm not by any means downplaying the complexity or importance of hernia surgery, but it doesn't sound like a neurosurgery or a heart transplant,
of course,
or even something more, veins and arteries.
It's akin to an appendectomy, I think.
That was a lot of big words for an immigrant.
Well, how many syllables was that? If you said I'm having my appendix out, next week, I would say, would it be cause for alarm?
No.
Appendectomy. Yeah. Nobody dies from an appendectomy. I say that.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, it's like saying nobody dies in a plane crash.
Right.
I mean, it happens rarely.
Actually, bad timing. Yesterday or today, I don't know, depending on the time, there was a plane crash in India that killed hundreds of people.
I don't think I heard about it.
I've read it on the news this morning. I know, may God rest their souls, but it is the allegedly safest way of travel. But when it happens, I guess because it's the safest way of travel. Like there are probably, God forbid again, but it happens, casualties on U.S. highways. Not each one is being highlighted by emergency alert, Fox News, CNN, etc., and blinking. But plane crash, because it's the safest way, and also in plane crash usually more than 1 or 2 people die. It's number of casualties is much higher. But to your point, back to surgery, any medical procedure, there are degrees of risk, and you would say that something like, appendix surgery or hernia or meniscus that I had many years ago, they should be safer than, let's say, heart transplant. Fair?
Well, people would say to you, if you said, I'm having my appendix out, next week, people would say, oh, well, good luck with that.
Yeah.
Cause for concern.
Yeah.
Are we offering prayers? Maybe a light one. I'm not going to spend any time
thinking about that or visiting you in the hospital. Right.
Yeah. Now, if you said, I'm having an open heart surgery.
Oh my God.
Okay, now we've moved up to level 5.
Yeah.
We're offering more support in our own way, whatever it may be, and more concern. Maybe it even warrants a visit.
Absolutely.
Okay. No one's coming to visit you
during the appendix surgery or hernia.
That's right.
Are you hearing what I'm hearing?
Yeah, I'm hearing that.
Is this something you should? Yes. Finally, now the show, our podcast is the way it's supposed to be. It's just me. I've been dreaming about this since I was. Never mind, he's back.
I find the really highly produced podcasts don't have these errors.
So I thought you meant you're going to say one podcaster. Two or more.
I think the lesser produced ones have things happen.
Jim, I'm going to correct you. I'm going to correct you with one word that you're using now more than once. Okay. Produced. Okay. Yes. As much as we want to call this production, this is more of a, what's the word I'm looking for? You can probably produce a car in Detroit, Ford Mustang. You can also produce a car in a garage, right? So this is more of a car in a garage.
I'm not sure that I knew what a producer was, but I'm starting to
we need one.
That they do things that you need.
We need. Okay, so $60K. That's honest to God. If you would have asked me, Alex, what do you think? And we played over under, I would have been in the ballpark of 15. Assuming you went to a hospital, checked in, the blood pressure, fever, temperature, and all that. Okay, so that's usually that 200 to 500 range because you're in a hospital, talking 200, 500 range, right? And then, the whole anesthesia, the system into your intravenous, the surgery, etc. And then back to your room and all that.
Yeah.
60K, I cannot. Again, I have a small brain, but I cannot justify that in any mathematically, financially logical way. And I'm familiar with terms like EBITDA, P&L, cash flow. Anyway, I was just trying to show off.
Yeah, you lost me there. I'm not familiar with that, but
you used the big word appendectomy. So I'll tell you a little bit of a story, personal. I was 3 years old. I don't remember. I've been told this story, and my appendix or appendicitis, I don't know how you say it correctly, it actually exploded in that tiny belly of mine. They called it, now Russian word is peritonit. I'm going to guess that Latin or English way will be peritonitis. Would that be a right word? This is a bit, I know it's a big word for an immigrant, but for redneck it should be easy.
No, I think it's right.
And my chances of survival were pretty low, but here to your mesmer.
Oh well.
Yeah. So that's that.
Nothing we can do about that.
Well, no, you could.
Yeah.
You could.
Also illegal.
Is there a knife here?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, again, I'm glad you're okay. I'm glad you're back. Back on your, own.
Yeah. I wouldn't want to do it again. Let's put it that way.
I hate myself for saying this. I've heard when hernia happens, probability of it happening again is slightly higher. Doesn't mean, it's guaranteed or anything like that, but it's a bit like the tissue there. By the way, sorry, just took the wrong exit on the highway. I was at lunch with a good friend of ours yesterday, and we were talking about everything from political, geopolitical, etc., to relationships, and then conversation went into marriages, divorces. And I confessed, we were talking about another friend of ours who got a divorce, who were thinking about remarrying another lady. Yeah? And what I told him, and he was not surprised. I'm curious if I'll surprise you or not. So according to our statistics, the divorce rate in our country is about 50%. So half the people who say I do and tears and a big party after that end in the result, half. What I was shocked about, then I explained that away to myself, but I'm still shocked, is that, do you know what the divorce rate of second marriage is?
Higher.
And you're not even blinking. Because to me, you and I have been fortunate to be married once.
One time.
And I mean, a lot of credit goes to them for staying married with us, because I know you, you know me.
Yeah. Okay. Well, as I say, my wife and I have had 5 wonderful years. We've been married 30. But if you add up, not in a row.
One day, if she ever decides to join us, I'm going to ask the same question. I'm curious if her number will be similar. 5 months, 5 weeks.
Those numbers are fluid.
So, when I heard that the divorce rate of second marriage is 75%, Jim, I was shocked.
Yeah.
The reason is, to me, in my, again, not so sophisticated brain, is first marriage, love, feelings, younger age, people get and they say, it's not working out, or he cheated, she cheated, finances, they move on. Second one, you're going into with more mature, with more like thou shall not. Pragmatic. I will do like the mistakes I've made, I will not. The mistakes that I felt that she made, I'll find someone who does not have the qualities or mistakes. 75%, which means 3 out of, I'm trying to explain this to you, mansplain we call it.
Right, yeah, I've heard that.
3 out of 4 get a divorce after a second marriage.
So the grass certainly is not greener.
It's
on the other side of the fence for the second marriage. You think it would be, but it's not apparently.
It wasn't. So my rationale for the lower divorce rate in my head, if you would ask me like guess, I would have said 20-25%, would have been like, you kind of know the mistakes you've made and mistakes that you perceive the person that you divorced from made, and you now the new one, upgraded one in your head, would not have those qualities and you will adjust your behavior for them not to manifest, so it will not affect the relationship.
Should the second partner, we should say,
yes,
so that we can
spouse.
Yeah. Okay. So should the second spouse be the polar opposite of the first one? Clearly, the first one had problems inherently that led to a divorce. So the second one possibly you should try someone with completely opposite qualities, or because of the stats you just gave me, maybe that's not the way to go. Maybe you should. The second person should be somewhat like the first one, but just with this is impossible.
I've got to say, a couple of friends of ours, I'm going to try to stay a little more nebulous. Big word for an immigrant, just so you know.
I don't know where you got that.
When I saw their second spouse, I wouldn't say they were identical, but to the first, no. But I wouldn't say they were 180. It was not even 90. Okay, I'm trying to do more geometrical, right? They were 360 different. They were eerie resemblances, right? Now, back to the point of the second. Now, the way I explained away, which still didn't take away the shock of the stat of the second marriage divorce, and I don't know if it's second and third, etc., but I'm talking about second, right? The first one, divorce, is like a, death, right? It's like a big event, cliff.
Sure.
Second one is more of a transactional thing. It just happens. But still, anyway, I don't even know how we got themselves. I'm hoping our wives will not watch this.
Well, I don't think you have to worry about that.
That's a fair point.
But this is an interesting, that stat should not be that the second marriage should be more successful in the divorce rate, because you learn. You're both more pragmatic about what you want, what you don't want. You've learned what you don't want as well as what you want. And now you've refined the search.
Your own behaviors too, right? You would assume, like, if I was doing this too much, that affected negatively, I will do that a lot less.
Well, a leopard doesn't change its
spot.
That is true. You are who you are, and you carry that into the second.
I get it.
And look at the method that we're meeting people now. I mean, it's from the computer. We've put in all of the parameters. Filled in the parameters. This is who we are.
I have how do you know about this?
I've heard through people that this is how it's done. But no, I do have a good friend that had divorced and went through the gamut of match.
Swipe left, swipe right, from what I hear.
So you put in all of this, and then the other person puts in all of this, and the computer is looking for parallels.
Correct.
And so that should really refine and help you.
Which shows that humans are far more complex than the heuristics or descriptors that you can put on them.
Opposites
attract, yes.
That's ridiculous. Okay, I'll tell you what. Don't marry someone who everything you like, they don't like. Trust me.
Why do you say that?
I'm just saying.
No. You said it the way you said. Trust me. It came with a lot of emotion.
Just emphatic. If I like to do this and she doesn't. And there's a long list of things.
And there is another one who likes to do that.
This contrast.
It could backfire. It could backfire.
So the computer wouldn't do that.
No.
If you like
walking on the beach, proverbial,
then they're going to look for someone that
also walk on the beach.
I like to walk on the. Oh, you do.
You do, hey, right there.
As opposed to, I hate the beach,
and I hate walking, and I hate people who walk on the beach.
It's too sandy. It's the beach. Already you're in an argument because I'm like, how can you not like it?
Yes,
and
that's
like, how can you like it? And we're.
But opposites attract. It's plus and minus.
No, I don't know about that. But the dynamics of the second one are completely different. The whole physicality of the first one is less of a factor in my. I don't know, maybe not. It depends on your age.
Age of marriage as well.
For an older man, companionship has risen to the top. When I was in my 20s, what is companionship?
Right.
It means nothing.
Right.
It's at the bottom of the list. Everything from the bottom has floated up. And all this
switch
stuff that was
sides.
important to you as a 28-year-old man has moved down. You know.
All right.
But while I was in the hospital, what were you doing?
Well, so we moved
I wasn't in the hospital. I was just there for a moment.
But apparently it took a big toll on you. Because talking to you on a phone,
I was living there.
Yeah, you were going to send me a photo, if my memory serves me correctly.
Of the results of the surgery.
Yes, and the general vicinity of the surgery.
We can't use that.
I wasn't suggesting to use it here. Just send it to me.
Oh, okay.
I'll describe next episode.
Along with the previous ones.
So we moved about a month ago from our home to our new home. I got to tell you, Jim, moving is an ordeal.
Did you tell your kids?
No, they'll still go to the previous one. No, but seriously, it's not. When you think of moving and the complexity, you think of the pool table, the bed. No.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. It's so. The furniture, yes, they're carrying and all that, but those are the big rocks. They go out of the way. Then you have stuff that you definitely need, right? After you lived in the house for a while. Then you have stuff that you definitely don't need. You donate, you throw away, you bring whatever trash bin and done. That's not a. Do you know a lot of big words?
That is not a big word.
It's not okay.
That's a mundane word.
So, is it the English humor when you put the letter G in a word foreigner for foreigners and say don't pronounce it?
Yeah, right.
So, but the stuff in between, this proverbial bell curve that is. We don't need this, but we sort of need this because it's the memory. It's the oy vey.
I know.
Oy vey.
Anyone that's moved. Let me just give you in my opinion, the number one example of want and need.
Yep.
What do we do with this? This is an absolute issue. Is all of the things I can't speak for your wife on this. I'm gonna let you do that, but. Our two children, everything that they crafted as a 6-year-old, a third grader, a fifth grader,
you have all of it.
The little trophies, they're in boxes for the most part. Do you throw them out?
That the kid-related things, you mentioned a few, I can probably multiply that list many times over, are the ones that, because if you ask them, at this age,
they don't want
I don't care. Throw it away.
Yeah, it means nothing to them.
My boy, the tennis awards that we have now it's boxes. Shelves and shelves. Daughters dancing. Awards, medals, the paper. What? I don't care.
The ashtray.
Yes, the ashtray.
Wait a minute. Our kids didn't make ashtrays, but we did. Because Dad needed one at home, but they don't even make them anymore. But that's a bad example. But I mean the pottery pieces. That might have been in the second grade.
What do you do?
She doesn't want it.
And here is the thing, and Jim, and this is an interesting kind of and we should probably at some point start wrapping this up.
Absolutely.
Because last time we kind of overextended. Yes. So let's do more of a 1984.
Right.
That's a book.
Well, that's also a big book.
Have you seen War and Peace?
Let's do
So back
Treasure Island.
It's
good. It's not that big.
So 1984 is not big. Anyway, no. Usually they come together. Animal Farm in 1984. So it appears to be 500-600 pages long. It's not a big. Yeah. Anyway, back to. But I'm a voracious reader. I used to be a lot more, but still am. But where were we? The moving, the kid stuff, and I took
what
a turn.
To keep, what not to keep.
What not to keep, and I completely lost my train of thought.
Probably
and that might be a very much so God sign for us.
Yes.
To shake hands.
Exactly.
Again, I emphasize, I'm really happy that surgery went well.
Thank you.
Because the things as uncomplicated as any procedure may be, stuff happens during the medical procedure. There is a bad stat on that.
Routine surgery is an oxymoron.
Yes, it is, because something enters your body that was not designed to enter your body.
They're putting you asleep. Yeah. They may be breathing for you. Intubation. They are cutting you open.
Yeah.
What's routine about this? Not in my life. So it's routine to you. Because the surgeon does it every day. I know
for
why
them
he
it's
uses the word, but
not for individual.
So don't minimize it.
So I'm glad you're okay.
Thank you.
I'm glad that you look as fine as you always did.
On the outside.
And inside I'm crying.
I'm dying on the inside.
So until next.
Let's put the bookmark here, and until next time.
Sounds good. Thank you.